Agility can be defined as the ability to change direction at the point of a stimulus without losing balance or stability. When considering agility in sport, it's important to consider the two contributing factors, the cognitive factor and a physical factor. The cognitive side of it refers to an athlete's reaction made to a stimulus. For example, in football, a player may have to react to the change of direction of the ball being the stimulus. The physical aspect refers more to the speed, the strength, and the technique of the athlete. As a striker in football, there may be several things that require the athlete to react to. One example might be when the ball has been played to the striker's feet and they have to be able to turn the defender. In terms of the movement, this is fairly simple to train. It will begin with the ready position. Once in this ready position, the initial phase of the movement will require him to externally rotate the hip. The side rotating will depend on the direction of the movement. At this point, all weight will be applied to the standing foot. The hip and the ankle should both rotate until they're facing the direction the athlete intends to go. As the rotated foot begins to make contact with the ground, the standing foot should begin to rotate into the same direction that the athlete intends to go. As you can see in the picture, all weight is transferred into the direction the athlete is going. This means the body needs to lean into the same direction. This will require for the athlete to get down low and exert the force through the body. At this point, maximal force needs to be produced from the trailing foot in order to generate that power. Once the athlete reaches the second cone, he will need to change direction. At the second cone, as it's approached, the athlete must begin to deaccelerate. At this point, the body will need to rotate and both feet must be planted facing at a 90-degree angle to the direction that they intend to go. In order to generate the power to change direction, the athlete must now bend their knees and get into a low position. They must now put all energy into the back foot. At this point, they must face the direction that they intend to go and transfer all energy from the back foot into the forward foot. This drill could be altered slightly to make it more relatable to the sport. Now we'll look at how this progression could be made. As you can see from the picture, there are now 3 cones all spread 5 meters away from the starting cone. Each one of the cones will be named 1, 2 and 3. The coach will stand in front of the athlete and shout one of these numbers, at which point the athlete will have to react to that stimulus of the noise and direct himself in the direction of the cone. The same coaching points that were in session 1 are still being applied. However, this just means the athlete is now having to react to a stimulus instead of going one direction. Again, this session could be changed slightly to make it more relatable to the sport. As seen by the video, the athlete will now have to react to a different stimulus. The same as the 2 sessions before, he will have to stand in front of the cone in his ready position. At this point, the athlete will then have to react to the coach blowing a whistle. That's the first stimulus. At this point, the defender who has been put in place behind the athlete will then have to move left or right. This will then require the athlete to react to the decision made by the defender. He will then have to go the opposite direction, sprint to the cone, change direction and turn back. An agility session like this one can be incorporated into a training program. The purpose of this is to get the athlete to be able to react to a stimulus within their sport. The more sport specific it is, the more relatable it will be to the game.